we definitely need to understand more.
Yeah, it's contradictory.
Yes.
You know.
So then what happened?
Well, I just was like, I'm not really interested in this religion. I don't want to be Catholic. Or Christian. I just don't feel like it's right for me. And no one really.
And the sister herself believed in all of this?
Oh yeah, she was really Catholic. Like really
hardcore,
deep. But I mean, she committed a lot of sins. She drank. She did the things Catholics are not supposed to do.
So basically, it was like, okay, Jesus is going to give me salvation because of me saying probably that I believe in Jesus.
Basically, yeah, like He's your Lord and Savior. So I'll ask for forgiveness, and everything's okay now because, He'll forgive me. That kind of thing.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's like some people are like, like you ever see like guys in the mafia? They wear the cross on them. They're killing people. They're wearing a cross and going to church.
Yeah, okay, just forgive me, Father.
Yeah, forgive me. I put a bullet in this guy's head. Forgive me, please. They do the cross symbol.
Or they just pay for it. They just go to the church and then
they
be like,
give
how much do I need to give?
Exactly.
How many bodies you got?
Yeah, like it's a little ridiculous,
I don't think this is good for recording.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Okay. You can edit this out.
No, I think that we like it raw.
Oh, okay.
We like to.
I just don't want to insult anybody else who's like.
No, because this
Catholic
is internal.
Jewish,
This is internal. This is an internal conversation. This is a real conversation.
Yeah, that's what.
A real conversation doesn't have to be politically correct.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
We're not looking for that. So go for it.
Okay, so yeah, and then for many years I just went back to the whole I'm gonna believe in God thing. I'm gonna live to my moral code. And then I just had no religion, and then life started getting really bad for me. I started having a lot of problems.
It went downhill after.
Yeah, it went really downhill quick.
Okay.
I got myself involved in a situation with the same girl, where it evolved into like an abusive relationship in a sense, and like things were going on in my life. I lost my job. I started resorting back to taking drugs for relaxation to escape. But at the same time, I still had a moral code, believe it or not. I still, every time I took, drank some alcohol or smoked some marijuana or took an ecstasy pill, I would say, please forgive me, God, I'm sorry. I need this because I'm in such pain and, I don't know what to do. I don't want to deal with my emotional problems. I have no support. No one in my family cares about me. No one really loves me. They just, I'm their son. They're my mother and father, but they don't treat me like I am their son. So basically my only salvation emotionally was to take drugs and forget my problems and, listen to music. So I got into that for a while, and then, doing those things often affects your performance at work. So I feel like, that kind of destroyed my mental capacity a lot, and I might have lost my job because of it, a job that I had for 8 years.
What were you doing?
I was doing pre-press and graphic design.
Oh, okay.
And it requires a lot of thought,
Right.
And, I managed to have this job for 8 years, and, even though I was doing these things, I was making a lot of mistakes at this job,
So all of a sudden you started to basically not care or become clumsy or something.
I cared, but I just couldn't focus as much because, when you
your mind's not there.
Exactly.
With all the drugs, it's just eating it up.
It was, and I basically would still pray to God to help me, get me through this somehow. And I always said, I still believe in you. I know you exist. I'm not going to doubt you, but please get me out of this situation somehow. And for years, nothing, no answer, nothing. And I still believe, though. I still never gave up. So the most important thing to do is never, ever give up your faith, because I think Allah brings you down to your worst so He can test you to see what you're going to do at the very worst before He brings you up. And
so He tested you, Phil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you fail, He might not want to continue with the path He chose for you. I don't know how it works, but going through all these horrible things and, going through this abusive relationship for like 4 or 5 years straight, coming to the point where I wish I could have killed myself, but I never had the guts to do it because I know you kill yourself, you go to hell, and there's no coming back from that. But in my mind, if I had a way around it where I could kill myself and still go to heaven, I would have easily done it because my mental state was really bad, and things happened to me in my life that I wouldn't even tell anybody. I have to take it to my grave because it's so embarrassing, so mentally bad.
Right.
To even relive it, to think about it again. But you know, at one point, like I said, how I met this girl in 2011, like at that point in my life, everything changed for the better. Like, and I started to realize, like, you know, all the things I went through brought me on this path to meet her and to become...
To be able to see the good when you meet the good.
And to join Islam.
Right.
That was the end result, like the main goal that I achieved.
So what was some of the first few conversations you had with the sister?
This
Muslim sister.
Yeah, we just talked about, like, you know, like life and about, you know...
The basics of life.
The basics of life, yeah. Like,
okay.
I would say, why does God let bad things happen? Look at the bad things that happened to me. And my life wasn't really good at that point. Things were still messed up. I didn't know they were going to get better.
So this right here, a lot of people do struggle with.
Yeah.
It's the question, why does God allow evil to exist? Or why the problem with evil is how it's put, and you guys can always Google it, but the fact of the matter is, God has created that.
You need evil to have good. You need to know what it's like to...
It's a test. It's basically,
a test,
you needed it for, without it, the good could not exist.
Yeah.
Basically, you wouldn't be able to differentiate or know what is good.
Exactly. And
yeah.
It made me realize, like, you know, I would say, why doesn't God help me? Why does these things happen to me? And then I realized, you know, Allah's not going to come down and make His presence known to the entire world, because then nobody would be realistic. Nobody would be basically have their own free will. They'd be 100% walking on eggshells every day of their life. Like, I got to be good. I can't do this because otherwise I know God exists now. I heard His voice. The whole planet heard His voice. You know, we have to be on eggshells. And Allah doesn't want that. He wants you to have your own free will. He wants you to choose, and He wants you to prove you're worthy of Jannah. You know, so you have, of heaven, and you have to go through trials in order to get to that point. So that's why I think He allows bad things to happen in life, because.
Well, in the Quran it says, you may love a thing, but it's not good for you, or you may hate a thing, but it is good for you, and Allah knows why you don't know.
Exactly.
Right. So.
And I came to learn that because me going through those horrible years of my life.
Yeah.
Once I got out of it and I met, you know, the girl who would become my wife, like I really saw it for what it is. Wow, He set me on this path.
So what you guys would have conversations, you would share how we pray, how we do things, and what else?
Little by little she showed me those things.
So how long did it take for you to just say, okay?
Not long, to be honest. Like, I met her in 2011.
What are we talking, months? Are we talking about?
Months, yeah.
A few months?
I'd say
so she was, every now and then she would just say, hey, listen to this, Jonathan.
Yeah, she gave me a Quran.
Oh, she gave you a Quran right away?
Yeah.
So she met you and then we had a little conversation or something, and she said, hey, here's a gift or something?
It was a couple weeks later maybe,
yeah.
You know, because we were always associated around.
Yeah, she gave you a Quran.
She gave me a Quran.
And translation of it.
Yes, but sadly I did not read it. I mean,
no.
I tried to read a little bit of it, I'm going to be honest with you, but I couldn't follow it. I was
really?
Like, yeah, it basically...
You weren't able to follow the translation she gave you?
Not at all. And I was just so in my state of mind where I believe in God and that's enough for me and I'm good with God and that's it. I just was unreligious and I didn't even really want to partake in trying to learn more than what I already knew, because I was still in a stage where I'm like, you know, how I used to be. And so she gave me the Quran and I read a couple pages and I didn't really read it. Most of the time I put it under my, you know, like in my bookcase, and months went by, I didn't really read it, you know. And not because I was against it, like, oh, this is not for me, I just didn't understand it, and not understanding it made it be like, I can't follow this, you know. I would ask her sometimes to explain things to me, and she did a good job of it, but, you know, at the time I was more focused on, you know, I want to rebuild my life. I'm out of this situation that I was in, abusive relationship. You know, I have a new job now. In 2011, I finally got a new job. I'm off unemployment. You know, I'm gaining weight. I'm getting healthier. I'm not skinny like I was. My mental state's getting better. I was more focused on having fun, making friends, and, you know, doing those things than I was really learning a religion. But this was like in 2011, like late 2011 was when I met her. And then, you know, really in 2012 was when I really started being more interested in Islam. And, you know, my wife, that's when she really showed me how you pray.
So about a year before you actually had like proper interest.
Yeah, I got like
But you got little exposures here and there.
Exactly, baby
Okay.
steps, you know. And
Very nice.
it's not like my wife, my friend at the time, didn't try, you know. I kind of would challenge her a lot and say, well, what you're telling me goes against what I believe, you know. So it's a contradiction. So I don't feel this is right for me either at this time in my life, like Islam. So, you know, she let me be, you know, and, you know, we just built a friendship at the time. And then, you know, when 2012 came, we pretty much, you know, she started showing me how to make salat, and,
Right.
you know, I became a little bit more interested in the religion. And, you know, one day she took me to a mosque in Hackensack, and she said, you know, I want you to talk with these people now, you know, and really see, you know, the religion and learn about it from someone who is a scholar or a sheikh or an imam who can teach you way more than I can and knows how to deal with a convert. You know, well, I wasn't a convert at the time, but, you know, someone who wants to convert. So I went to the mosque and, you know, I talked to them for a while, and I even threw my challenging questions out. Why does God let bad things happen? Why is this way? Why is the world in turmoil? And they would tell me things that I know now, they would tell me, and I would say, okay, you know, that seems logical, and I'm a person of logic, so like, if it seems logical, then okay, it's gotta be the truth, you know, like, Judaism and Christianity, for me, it didn't feel logical, because if you ask a question, I want a straight up answer, I'm not gonna believe it. I got no answers from either of the two religions, but I got an answer from Islam, you know, when I asked my certain questions.
What was the hardest question you got?
Basically, like, why does God let bad things happen? Like,
What was the answer you got?
Basically what I said before about how, you know, you need these things to happen in order to test your worthiness of heaven, and, you know, it molds you as a person. You need to have bad things happen to you so you can find yourself and know who you are inside. And I didn't know who I was for many years because, you know, I just didn't get the concept of how it was. You know, and once I was told this, I started realizing, wow, I really am finding myself now. At that time in my life, I was finding who I was, you know, like I know who I am, I know what I want in life, and, you know, like, this is gonna really help me to achieve my goal, this Islam thing, you know. And so they had me talk to a sheikh, his name is Amir al-Sami, and he basically gave me a shahada over the phone, because he was not in the state at the time. And so I made shahada, and then I was like, you know, okay, I'm Muslim now, but I didn't really have much of a support system after that, because my wife left. She went back to Saudi Arabia like 2 months after, and, you know.
2 months after you became Muslim.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I really was like, okay, I'm never gonna see this girl again, most likely. You know, we were just friends at the time, so I'm like, just another person in my life. You know, she set me on a path, so let me follow. And so I started to really talk to people at the mosque, and you know. But they really were a super great support system. Some of them were, but, you know, and then I started, you know, having battles in myself, like, this is really hard, I gotta pray 5 times a day. It feels so alien to me to actually, you know, bow on the ground and prostrate and do the things required. And I'm like, 5 times a day? I can't do this, I could barely even do it twice a day at the time. And that was my greatest battle, it was so hard, you know. And not having anyone to really, like, you know, give me tough love or push me to do it and say, you know, you need to do this, you know. I started slacking off, you know, and, you know, but still, I held on to it a little bit. I still would, you know, try to find out about Islam and be interested in it, and try to read the Quran, try to
So
mull through it.
this whole time you weren't connected to any masjid?
I was and I wasn't. Well, you mean after 2012?
After you became Muslim?
I kind of was, but I wasn't. Like, I would go back and forth, like.
Okay, so basically a local masjid you tried to connect with, it was nobody there that actually made you kind of like.
Yeah, they didn't invite me. They didn't make me feel like I was a brother, like, you know.
And what were some of the things that made you kind of feel, okay, maybe this is not where I'm able to be at?
Maybe because I still had a stigma embedded in my subconscious about, like, well, this is an Arabian religion, like, everyone I see is of Arabian ethnicity.
So everybody basically was the same race, and you just said, okay, I'm not like them.
That's how I felt, like, I don't know their culture, you know.
Originally, what's your ethnicity?
My great-grandmother was from Russia, so I guess technically Russian.
Okay.
You know, and, well, the person who did help me a lot, though, was Sheikh Amir al-Sami. he really like, you know, he tried to connect me with people like who are not of Arabian descent, so I could feel more comfortable. And also, not that I'm not trying to say it's like a racist thing. I just wanted to feel like, you know, I'm among people who talk like me, act like me, you know, people from Jersey basically, you know, I was a very harsh person, like I never said alhamdulillah all the time, I never said, you know, inshallah, you know, and me hearing people speak like that all the time, I felt like an outsider, like I don't know the lingo, I don't know how to connect with them, you know, but if the people who I did meet who were more down to earth and more like raw and kind of like I was, maybe I could say trashy at the time,
Right.
you know, it kind of made me think, wow, they're just regular people who are converting to Islam. It's not just about, you know, Arabian ethnicity or, you know.
Right, it's nothing is made up. I mean, like this
Yeah.
whole conversation here is a pure conversation.
This
There's
is raw.
absolutely
Yeah.
nothing staged at this.
Yeah.
Right, so it's you sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it
That's
might
it.
sound offensive to some people, but I want people to know.
You're having a conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
you can shut it off if you don't like it.
Exactly. Some
That's
people might say this guy's a racist, but some people might say, I identify with that. That's how I was. And there was a brother that I met that I talked to, I'm not going to give his name, but you know, he said the same exact thing I did. He said he would go to the